The scar stretched across her back like a map of a river he was never meant to discover. Marcus froze in the doorway of his boss's office, the quarterly reports clutched in his trembling hands as Elaine hurriedly pulled her blouse back down. Their eyes met in the reflection of the window, hers wide with panic, his dark with recognition. A recognition that came from his own carefully hidden scars. "You didn't see anything, right?" Elaine's voice was steady, professional, as if they were discussing a typo in a document. "The wind blew my shirt." The window behind her desk was sealed shut. Had been for years. Marcus swallowed hard. "Didn't see a thing," he replied, placing the reports on her desk with a steady hand that belied the earthquake happening inside him. But he had seen everything. And it changed everything. 3 months earlier, Marcus Turner had been desperate. At 34, he was drowning in medical bills from his daughter Lily's last hospital stay, behind on rent, and surviving on whatever remained in the pantry after making sure Lily had proper meals. Single parenthood had never been his plan, but after his wife Diane's death 2 years ago, plans had become luxuries he couldn't afford. The interview at Westlake Publishing had been his 7th that month. When Elaine Richards, the stern-faced editorial director, had looked up from his resume with those piercing blue eyes, he'd nearly given up hope before she even spoke. "Your resume shows a 3-year gap," she said, tapping her manicured nail against the paper. Marcus straightened his second-hand suit jacket. "My wife passed away. I've been caring for our daughter. She has juvenile arthritis, and there were complications after." He stopped himself. Nobody wanted to hire a sob story. To his surprise, something in Elaine's expression shifted. It wasn't pity, he'd grown to recognize that look all too well. It was something else. Recognition, perhaps. "The position requires occasional overtime," she said. "Would that be a problem with your childcare situation?" Marcus thought of Mrs. Patel next door, who watched Lily after school but couldn't stay late. He thought of the mounting bills, of Lily's upcoming treatments. "I'll make it work," he said with more confidence than he felt. Elaine studied him for a long moment. "Start Monday. 9 sharp." The job at Westlake was a lifeline. The salary wasn't extraordinary, but the health insurance was comprehensive. For the first time since Diane's death, Marcus could breathe. Lily's treatments were covered, and he could afford the rent without dipping into the meager savings he'd managed to preserve. Elaine was a demanding boss, exacting, sometimes harsh, always pushing for perfection. The other editors walked on eggshells around her, but Marcus found her clarity refreshing. There was never any guessing with Elaine. She said what she meant, expected what she demanded, and rewarded good work with curt nods that somehow felt more valuable than effusive praise. "Turner," she called one evening as he was packing up to leave. "The Donovan manuscript needs another pass. The dialogue in chapter 3 is still wooden." Marcus glanced at his watch. Mrs. Patel couldn't stay past 6, and it was already 5:40. "I'll take it home," he offered. Elaine frowned. "That's confidential material. It stays in the building." "I understand, but my daughter." "Bring her here," Elaine said abruptly. "There's a break room with a couch. She can do homework or whatever while you finish." It wasn't ideal, but it was better than leaving Lily alone. "Thank you," Marcus said, surprised by the accommodation. Elaine waved him off. "Just fix the dialogue, Turner." Lily fell in love with the publishing house immediately. At 9 years old, she was already a voracious reader, and the idea that books were made in this very building fascinated her. "Does Ms. Richards make the books?" she asked, her small face serious as she settled on the break room couch, her leg brace propped on a cushion. "She helps make them better," Marcus explained, setting up his laptop. "She's very good at her job." "Is she nice?" Lily asked, pulling out her math homework. Marcus considered the question. "She's fair," he said finally. "And very smart. Like Mom was, Lily said with the simple certainty of a child. Marcus felt the familiar ache. Yes, like Mom was. He worked quickly, determined to finish before Lily grew too tired. When he stepped out to refill his coffee, he returned to find Elaine sitting beside his daughter, examining Lily's sketch pad. "This is quite good," Elaine was saying, pointing to a drawing of what appeared to be a fantastical creature, part dragon, part cat. "The proportions are excellent." Lily beamed. "It's a dracket. They breathe fire but only when they're happy, not when they're angry like regular dragons." "Very sensible," Elaine nodded seriously. "Fire breathing should be a joyful activity." Marcus stood frozen in the doorway, coffee forgotten in his hand. In the 3 months he'd worked at Westlake, he'd never seen Elaine smile. Yet here she was, the corners of her mouth lifted as she discussed imaginary creatures with his daughter. Elaine looked up, catching him watching. Her smile vanished, replaced by her usual professional mask. "Turner. The Donovan manuscript?" "Almost finished," he said, moving back to his laptop. Elaine stood, smoothing her immaculate skirt. "Good work on the Henley project, by the way. The author specifically mentioned your editorial notes in her email." Before Marcus could respond, she was gone, heels clicking down the hallway. Lily watched her go with wide eyes. "She's pretty," she whispered. "And she smells like cinnamon." After that evening, something shifted. Elaine wasn't exactly warm, Marcus doubted she knew how to be, but she began to acknowledge Lily whenever Marcus had to bring her to the office. Small things, a new colored pencil set appearing on the break room table, a young adult novel left casually beside Lily's usual spot with a post-it note saying, "You might enjoy this." For Marcus, the changes were subtler. A slightly lighter workload when Lily had doctor appointments. The occasional coffee appearing on his desk when he'd been working through lunch. Nothing that could be definitively labeled as kindness, Elaine was too careful for that, but a gradual easing of the pressure he'd been under since starting. "You're her favorite," Jeremy from marketing told him during the company holiday party. "Richards actually approved my proposal without sending it back for revisions." She said, "Turner would have caught these errors. Like you're the new gold standard or something." Marcus shook his head. "I just do my job." "No, man, it's more than that. She's different lately. Less terrifying." Jeremy lowered his voice. "Some of us think she might be seeing someone. She actually hummed in the elevator last week." "Hummed?" Marcus glanced across the room where Elaine stood talking to the company CEO, her posture perfect as always, her expression professionally pleasant. He couldn't imagine her humming. Later that evening, as the party wound down, Marcus found himself alone with Elaine in the coat check area. "Lily's artwork is on display at her school," he said, surprising himself. "A winter showcase this Friday. She asked if you might come." Elaine paused in buttoning her coat. "Me? You don't have to," Marcus added quickly. She talks about you a lot. The dragon lady who's actually nice, as she puts it." A flicker of something, amusement? Pain, crossed Elaine's face. "Dragon lady. Accurate." She hesitated. "What time?" 7. "But really, no pressure." Elaine nodded once, decisively. "Text me the address." Elaine arrived at exactly 6:55, wearing a deep blue dress that made her look less like an intimidating executive and more like a person. A beautiful person, Marcus realized with a jolt of surprise. Lily spotted her immediately, waving frantically from beside her displayed artwork. "Ms. Richards. You came." "I said I would," Elaine replied, as if breaking a commitment was unthinkable. She bent slightly to examine Lily's drawing, an elaborate scene of a library filled with magical creatures, including the fire-breathing dracket. "This is exceptional, Lily." Lily beamed. Dad helped with the perspective lines. Very minimal help, Marcus clarified. She has a natural eye. Like her father, Elaine said, glancing at him. Your editorial visualizations are always remarkably clear. The compliment, delivered so matter-of-factly, caught him off guard. Thank you. They walked through the exhibition together, Lily chattering excitedly about her classmates' work. When her art teacher approached, Lily proudly introduced Elaine as, my dad's boss and my friend. The teacher smiled. It's wonderful to see such support for Lily. She's very talented. Yes, Elaine agreed. She is. Later, as they stood in the school parking lot, Lily yawned widely, the excitement of the evening catching up with her. Ice cream? Marcus suggested, a Friday night tradition when Lily was feeling well enough. Yes. Lily bounced on her toes, fatigue momentarily forgotten. Marcus turned to Elaine. Would you like to join us? There's a place around the corner that makes incredible dark chocolate gelato. Elaine hesitated, her keys already in hand. For a moment, Marcus thought she would decline. Then Lily reached out, taking Elaine's hand in her small one. Please come, she said. Dad never lets me get 2 scoops, but maybe if you're there. A smile broke across Elaine's face, a real one this time, transforming her features. Well, I can't pass up being the good cop, she said. Lead the way. The ice cream outing became dinner the following week, and then a Saturday at the museum the week after that. Elaine slipped into their lives with surprising ease, her initial stiffness melting away in Lily's presence. With Marcus, she remained more reserved, but he caught glimpses of the woman beneath the professional exterior, her dry wit, her passionate opinions about literature, her unexpected knowledge of constellation myths that delighted Lily during an evening stargazing in the park. Why don't you have kids? Lily asked one Sunday as they fed ducks at the pond, the directness that only children can get away with. Marcus started to intervene, but Elaine answered calmly. I was very focused on my career. And then, life gets complicated sometimes. Like when Mom died? Lily asked, tossing another piece of bread. Yes, Elaine said softly. Like that. Later, when Lily ran ahead to the playground, Elaine spoke without looking at Marcus. I was engaged once. It ended badly. Marcus waited, sensing there was more she wanted to say. He had certain ideas about what a wife should be, she continued, her voice carefully neutral. I didn't fit those ideas. His loss, Marcus said simply. Elaine turned to him then, her eyes searching his face. Most men don't want a woman who out-earns them, outranks them, or outthinks them. I'm not most men, Marcus replied. And I've never been threatened by competent women. I was married to one, remember? Something in Elaine's expression softened. Lily is very lucky to have you. I'm the lucky one, he said, watching his daughter climb to the top of the slide, her face alight with determination despite the leg brace that sometimes slowed her down. Spring arrived, bringing with it a major publishing conference in Chicago. As editorial director, Elaine was expected to attend. It's just 3 days, she told Lily over dinner at their apartment, now a weekly occurrence. I'll bring you back a souvenir. Lily pushed her peas around her plate. But who will help me with my science project? Dad's terrible at science. Hey, Marcus protested mildly. I got a solid C+ in high school chemistry. My point exactly, Lily said with the dramatic sigh of a preteen. Elaine laughed. I'll help you plan it before I go, and we can video chat if you get stuck. Later, after Lily had gone to bed, Marcus and Elaine sat on the small balcony of his apartment, sharing the last of the wine. Thank you, he said quietly. For everything you've done for Lily. For us. Elaine looked out at the city lights. I should be thanking you. I haven't. I haven't had this in a very long time. Had what? She gestured vaguely. This. People. Connection. She took a sip of wine. I built walls after Robert. It was easier that way. Robert was the fiancé? She nodded. He wanted me to be someone I'm not. Someone smaller. Her voice hardened slightly. When I refused, he tried to make me smaller by force. Marcus felt a cold anger settle in his stomach. I'm sorry that happened to you. It was a long time ago, she said, but her fingers tightened around the wine glass. Some wounds don't heal with time, Marcus said softly. They just become part of who we are. Elaine looked at him then, really looked at him. Is that what happened with Diane? It became part of you? In a way, Marcus admitted. But not how you might think. Diane's death wasn't the wound, it was losing her love that left the scar. Her love was healing. Without it. He shrugged. You learn to live with the pain. And Lily? Does she help heal it? Lily is everything, Marcus said simply. She's the reason I get up every morning. The reason I keep going. Elaine was quiet for a long moment. You're a good father, Marcus. A good man. It was the first time she had used his first name. The sound of it in her voice made something shift inside him, like a key turning in a long-locked door. Elaine, he said, testing her name in return. When you come back from Chicago, would you have dinner with me? Just me? Her eyes widened slightly. Are you asking me on a date, Turner? He smiled. I believe I am, Richards. She looked down at her wine, then back at him, a slow smile spreading across her face. I'd like that. The Chicago conference was scheduled for 3 days, but on the second evening, Marcus received a text from Elaine. Asterisk coming back early. Flight lands at 11 p.m. Can we talk tomorrow? Asterisk. Marcus stared at the message, a sense of unease growing. The terseness was typical Elaine, but the abrupt change of plans was not. She was nothing if not methodical. Everything okay? He texted back. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, asterisk yes. Just need to talk, asterisk. The next morning, Elaine wasn't at the office. By noon, Marcus was worried enough to call her cell, but it went straight to voicemail. At 3, he made an excuse to leave early, driving to her address, a sleek high-rise downtown that he'd only dropped her off at once before. The doorman eyed him suspiciously until Marcus explained he was concerned about his boss who had missed work. Ms. Richards returned last night, the man confirmed. She seemed upset. I can call up if you'd like. Please, Marcus said, relief mingling with renewed concern. After a brief conversation, the doorman directed him to the elevator. 15th floor, apartment 1507. Elaine opened the door wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweater, an outfit so unlike her usual tailored perfection that Marcus momentarily wondered if he had the wrong apartment. You shouldn't be here, she said, but stepped back to let him in. Her apartment was exactly as he'd imagined it, minimalist, elegant, with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves and a view of the city that must have cost a fortune. But it was the disarray that caught his attention, a suitcase upended on the floor, clothes spilling out, a broken wine glass in the kitchen sink, papers scattered across the coffee table. What happened? He asked, turning to face her. Elaine crossed her arms tightly across her chest. Robert was at the conference. He's the new CEO of Meridian Publishing. Marcus felt his body tense. Did he hurt you? No, she said quickly. Not physically. He cornered me at the reception. Started talking about old times, how I should come work for him. Her laugh was bitter. Said he could use someone with my attention to detail in his bedroom again. Bastard, Marcus muttered. I handled it, Elaine said, lifting her chin.